Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Coach Everardo Resendez. I'm a certified executive and business coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today I have Hilton Nicholson with CyberReef as my guest. Today we're going to be talking about the business, the journeys to the ownership and challenges, best practices, cherry picking to what really is like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to subscribe and like so that you can get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Hilton, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I'm
Would
excited
you,
about it.
go ahead.
Yes, I'm excited about it.
Oh, we're very excited about it too. Would you share with us a little bit of overview on the background and tell us a little bit about your business?
Oh, would love to do that. I was a CEO of a company up in New York that provided data communications for industrial applications. Think of oil fields, um, cities, waterways, things that required communications to remote devices. We manufactured those devices and sold them to customers all over the world. So I sold that company at the end of 2011. But before I sold it, we had a major issue. The major issue was cyber attacks that were happening, that bad actors were getting control of the devices and impacting water delivery for cities, turning off, transformers. And so Homeland Security approached my company as well as the rest of the industry, saying we need to protect these devices. In order to protect those devices, we need to take them off of being publicly exposed so that people can come at them and put them on a private network. So we started working on that, but before we could finish that work, I sold the company. This group out of the UK purchased the company. My wife and I decided to go. We had a vacation home down on the Gulf of Mexico, and we chilled. We said, let's go. Let's just hang out. I've worked my entire life. We're just not going to do anything else. And that didn't last for long because I kept thinking about this problem, right? Because if you had the problem, if you went to the carriers, it was taking them 6 to 8 months to build out a private network. And me being a technology guy, I said, why in the world does it take so long? Someone should be able to do this in a matter of days. So I started CyberReef to address that problem, which is building out a private network and doing it at a record pace. And you needed that because the end user customers were really frustrated with the carriers. And what we found out was that if we took the hard work that the carriers had to do and bring it into the cloud. And when I say cloud, it's data centers, right? The hard work they had to do, we brought that into the data center, as well as the customers had a lot of hard work to do. We brought that into the data center. We mechanized that. So instead of taking 6 to 8 months, we were able to do it in a couple of days. And we provide the private networking for those types of applications. So anything that has a cellular modem in it, and when we think about cellular modem, you and I, we think about phones, right? And tablets, things that we connect to the cellular network with. But there are a lot of other devices, from controlling traffic lights to managing oil wells and gas pipelines and solar arrays and all these things that are remote that you can't get a wire to. They have cellular modems. And so we protect all of that. And that's how we started CyberReef back in 2012.
Wow. Okay. So it's quite an endeavor, and it's born from you being aware of a problem that needed solving.
Definitely. It was a problem that in my old industry as a supplier, was a problem because let's say that you ordered, and this is real. We had an order from a customer for almost 100,000 modems. Now think about it, that's a big deal for us. And they were waiting for the private network to be built. And we had all this inventory that we had built up on my dime in the warehouse that I couldn't ship until the private network was up. Now we ended up selling the business before all that panned out, but those are the kind of issues that as a CEO of a company, having all that money in inventory that I can't ship, it became imperative that we fix this problem. And not only that, the customer was upset. So we just figured out, like you said, if we did the right things, the carriers would be happy, the customer would be happier, the manufacturer, everyone will be happy if we just solve that problem. That's how we started CyberReef.
So it starts by solving a problem, then it becomes something else. It becomes an endeavor, a new business. Continuously solving that problem, I'm assuming, because it evolves with time.
It does. And let me tell you, I had never started a business. I took over for CEOs of companies that had been acquired. I replaced a CEO at the company up in New York, but I never started a business from scratch. I have created new products and everything inside of a large organization. Starting a business from scratch is a lot of work. It is not for the faint of heart because it is a very difficult thing to do because you're learning things as you're doing. You've got fundraising while you're trying to build a product. You got trying to figure out how to hire a good salesperson, how to hire a good CFO, how to put process in place, how to come up with a strategy that works, to go to market. It is a lot of work, and you're building it from scratch. Now, I look back on it and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. But in reality, it really was. It was all consuming. But, to start something from scratch, to come up with an idea and realize it, and to have that first customer buy your product, there's no other feeling like that. There's nothing.
Wow. Okay. Well, set the stage for the listeners and the viewers. What does the current ownership structure look like? I mean, are you the sole owner, founder? Are there other owners? Are there outside investors into it?
Yeah, so we're a C Corp, so we have over 120 investors. So we're incorporated. So, and what's been great for us is our investors, at least the members, our investors that own the board of CyberReef, are really great people, and they want us to be successful. And so, one of the important things that if you're starting a business, you really have to take the time and make sure you bring on good board members, because most of the time it's been great, right? We were growing at 100 and something percent a year. But there are going to be times when the cycle goes down where your board, you want that support to say, hey, we need to pull ourselves out of this hole. And you want a board that's going to be right there with you. So, yes, so we're incorporated, C Corp, 100 and something investors. We got 7 board members. And without them and without their support, there would have been no way that we could have gotten here.
Very, very cool. And so, what is your role currently in the business?
I am the CEO and founder of CyberReef, and just love it. I love my people, love what I do.
All right. So, when you look at your role, how many hours do you spend working in the business, the job, the operations, the getting things done? And how many on the business, the strategy planning, the dreaming, the forecasting?
Okay. So I'm going to start with the strategy part first, and then we'll get into the operations. So I was very fortunate to build a relationship with a guy named Arnaldo Hacks, it's Professor Hacks at MIT. And I met him back in probably 91. And he focused his strategy work on high-tech businesses. And so I worked with him to sort of take what he would do and help businesses like figure out how to turn things around or how to integrate technology. I worked with him to mechanize that and do process, and actually made a computer program to help facilitate teams in strategy development, especially high tech teams. And so I was fortunate to have someone like that to guide me through how to develop strategies. And so we use that. And the first thing that I do every time either I move in and take over a business or even starting CyberReef, as soon as we had enough of a management team to get away, we went away from work and said, okay, where are we going? We're going to look 3 to 5 years down the road. What are some long-term strategies? What are some tactical things that we can do in the next 6 to 18 months? Those things that we were doing in our tactical plans in the next 6 to 18 months were sub-elements of the overall strategy of where we wanted to take the business. And we debated everything. It took us 3 days to get up to come up with a strategy, all of the tactical plans. But once we were aligned, I didn't have to worry about people not rowing the boat, right? We were all rowing the boat in the right direction, the same direction. So I was very fortunate to understand that you start with the strategy, you work your way down to the tactical plans, and now what you asked about was the operational stuff. And at the operational level, that's a day-to-day quest. I also run sales for our company. As the CEO, I also run sales. And so at a tactical level, we're meeting with customers, we're working with marketing, we're trying to get the message out, we're using social media, we're using everything that we have access to communicate the value that we bring to the marketplace. On the technology side, we already have 2 patents. We have another 3 patents pending. We're protecting our technology as we roll it out. We took a different approach than our competitors. We came out before them. We started thinking about security before it was an issue, because in 2012, mobile devices were not considered to be a security risk. We thought about it way before it became an issue, because if you look at a cellular phone, it's nothing but a computer that is connected to the cellular network. It's no different than I use a Mac, my Mac right here. It's the same thing. But back then, it wasn't considered something that could be attacked. So we were ahead of the industry. And in this industry, if you don't stay ahead, you're dead. That's just a lie. If you think that you can live off what you did 5 years ago, you will die. And so innovation is key to success. If you don't innovate, this is not the business for you. Other places, you could do something that'll last for 20 years and you can sell for 20 years. It's just not the markets that we're in. Every time we meet, we talk about how can we get ahead of our competitors, and it's through technology and innovation.
Wow. All right. Well, that's quite a mouthful right there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Let's let's move on to what makes your business so special. Okay. Everything that we're gonna talk about right now um will be now in context with all that you just said, okay?
Okay.
Because it drives the definition of that strategy drives what you choose to do. So let's focus first on who do you primarily serve, right? If I was in the audience, how will I know that I was a good fit for your services?
Okay. So we target small to medium enterprises as well as large enterprises. Anyone that has corporate provided devices, that can be a cell phone, it could be tablets. Anyone that's in manufacturing as it relates to, we sell into the oil and gas industry. I've talked about monitoring wellheads, power industry for monitoring the smart grid. We sell into with cities that are providing water and wastewater, because they have to monitor those assets are remote and you have to be able to monitor those. We do a lot with retail, and retail for us would be could be stores. One of our biggest customers is a fast food franchise where they're connected to the internet over the cellular network. They have what we call fixed wireless access. So their primary connectivity for those stores is over cellular, but also they need a backup. So that means you have to have 2 cellular providers. So you may have AT&T as primary. If that line goes down, they still need they got a point of sale, and they got credit cards they need to process. So we have a backup over Verizon or over T-Mobile. So we provide that connectivity, and all of it is secure. All of it's on a secure network. It's all on a private network. So we do small to medium businesses, franchises. We love retail outlets. We do hotels. Anyone that needs that internet connectivity, but it needs to be protected. We do that. Now, my competitors can provide that as well. We took a different approach from our competitors. Our competitors have software that runs on the end device. So it may run on your tablet, it may run on your phone, and it makes secure connections starting from the device itself,
Like a VPN?
like a VPN. You're exactly right. Our patent doesn't require us to have a VPN on those devices. And you say, so what? Well, if you're deploying, we did 500,000 lines with schools during COVID. If you had to get to 500,000 devices and load 5,000 clients on 500,000 devices, that's a major task. With us, you didn't have to do that. All you had to do was plug them up, and we provided that security. That was our very first patent, is how we do that. That's the secret sauce. And so we are unique in the industry, and we set ourselves apart because it doesn't require that. We were actually sued by one of our competitors. Said, hey, you're in violation of our patent. And they said, because you got software running on a device and that device is providing this VPN connectivity. We won that lawsuit because guess what? We don't have any software on that end device. So that's a unique thing that we bring to the market. And the ease of deployment is it's very important when you have 10,000 lines, 20,000 lines. So we're basically the easy button if you want, a private network to protect your devices. And we also do malware protection, so you don't have to worry about any attacks. So there's a lot of things we do, which are full firewall capabilities like you would have in enterprise, but we provide that firewall to every last one of those individual cellular devices.
It's amazing, Hilton. It's amazing. And so, what's one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Well, for me, that difference, it takes a while. Well, I'm gonna put it this way. People don't know they need security until it's too late. And everyone should be aware that they need to be protecting their intellectual property, their data, and their communications. Just recently, we met with a Coca-Cola bottler in one of the Northeast states. They had to pay ransomware. And so they paid it. And then once they paid it, they just locked down their network. They went through and said, okay, we're going to put up these firewalls. We're not going to let anything go. And he was thinking about the enterprise. Like, I'm going to protect the enterprise. They did all that and protect the enterprise. But they ended up giving us a call because they realized that they hadn't done anything with their cell phones. And that was another way that they could get into their network. And it was an afterthought versus being part of their overall strategy of protecting their network. And after paying ransomware, you would think that they would think more broadly than just, I got firewalls at the corporate headquarters, I got a firewall at a branch office. They should have been thinking any device on my network needs to be protected. So to me, people understanding that those mobile devices are a way that bad actors can get into your network and shut you down. That would be one thing I would love for everyone to understand, because then I would sell more of my products
Oh,
to them.
absolutely. Which then
Yes,
leads
sir.
me to marketing, right? It's an
Yes.
area that it's vital for every business and often an area people struggle with, right? I'm always, just in having these conversations, I'm very curious about what successful businesses are doing. How do they establish their marketing structure? There's this message I want to get out to the public. There's this education that needs to go along with it, right? So is there a budget? What's the different marketing strategies you have? Which one works well for you?
Okay. So now, before I start talking about marketing, I want to talk about our channels to market because the marketing supports that. So we go indirect. So we have a set of we partner with all the carriers here in the U.S. We have partners that currently sell into small to medium businesses. We have partners that sell to large enterprises, and these partners already have relationships. We have partners that sell into government. And so what we spend our time is recruiting these channel partners because they have access to the end user. So we spend a lot of time marketing to them to get them to be a partner and resell our products to their existing and new customers. So a lot of our sales team is trying to recruit new channel partners. Now, once we have those channel partners, then our marketing is associated with providing what they need to talk to the end user. So it's stage one is for recruiting a partner. The other marketing material is for them to use to go to their end user customers. Now we use, print media. We use primarily social media, but also we use a lot of AI in our marketing. We use AI to generate materials. We use AI to generate marketing videos, where we use it to create a script. We plug it into a tool that creates a video. We go in and edit it, and then we crank out those videos and can be used by our channel partners. We put on our website. We put on LinkedIn. So there are things that we do just to increase the awareness around protecting your networks. And the other thing we do is help them reduce data consumption by throttling things that are not important. So we're on a Zoom call today. If I was on my phone, you want that Zoom call to have the highest priority. If I'm also in the other room, my kids are connected to my hotspot and they're trying to watch or do video gaming, right? They're doing gaming. Who should have priority? Guess what? You should, not them and their gaming. So we'll take that gaming traffic. So you know what? I don't want to deny my kid an opportunity to game, but guess what? They're going to do it at a very low bandwidth because the priority will be given to us because the Zoom call is more important. So things like that that we do are just unique and just set us apart from everyone else in the industry.
So, Hilton, if I am understanding this correctly, your marketing goes through these channels, right? You're reaching the end users through those channels. Um, and so what comes to mind right away for me is the idea, what if this was accessible to the public as a whole? They didn't have to get all that information from those channels, but they could just simply come to you. I mean, will you even have the capacity to do all that for individual users all over the country?
No, no way. Um, we do a little, you got two strategies, as you know, when we have a channel, you can kind of push it through a channel, you can pull it through a channel. Pulling through the channel will require us to take ads out on television, right? Uh, like broadly distributed paper print, which is still out there. We don't have those kind of funds to do that. There's just no way I can go out and get on ABC, NBC, and have a commercial. We don't have that kind of money, but some of our partners do. And so if we convince them this is something that can make a lot of money, at selling, they will spend their money to reach out to those channels because they're already there, they're already spending. So since we don't have that kind of money to pull it through the channel, we try to push it through. And we have special incentives and hey, if you sell this, we'll, give you $1,500 for closing a deal of this size. There's things we can do to incent the channel, and that's affordable to us. A pull strategy, there's no way we could do it.
Right. And listen, and one of the things that we advocate a lot is um, how can you leverage what you have available to you? And basically, what I'm hearing is that you're leveraging their marketing power to draw what you need towards you. And it's brilliant. So kudos
Um,
for that. That's excellent.
I don't know about brilliant. It was like the only option we had. When you can't do a pull strategy, you need to use, and you need, because when you start, I mean, this is real stuff. When you start a business, you may be able to do a lot of stuff over Facebook. Some people can, especially consumer related stuff. There's some things you can get away with. But the things that we sell is a technology, very complicated, and you need sophisticated channels to sell it. And convincing them to go your way, to take your product and take it into consideration and then actually sell it, it is a lot of work, but it's so, I don't know, rewarding once they go, yeah, we want to rep your product into the market. It's a big high. That's all I can say.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So we spent a bunch of time working on or talking about the business. And so I love to step back a little bit and dive into your journey a little bit more. Okay. You mentioned you had retired at some point and you went back into these. Um, you went into this because you saw a problem that needed solving and you couldn't help yourself.
Yeah.
So looking at your journey so far, like what has been the most memorable roadblock in the development of this business, hurdle that you were forced to overcome?
It happened early in the business. When I moved from New York down to Alabama, I was on the Gulf Coast of Alabama, and I had this idea about starting this company. I had been spoiled because I lived in the New York, Boston, New Jersey, Chicago, Minneapolis area. And there's a lot of technology companies in there and up there, and there's a lot of technology investors. So when I moved down to Alabama, I said, this is a good deal. I shouldn't have a problem raising money. It never crossed my mind. My wife and I funded the company. So we used our own cash to get the company kicked off. But at some point, engineers are pretty expensive. And we wanted, to raise money. And I was trying to raise money in Alabama. It's like, my goodness, unless you're like harvesting wood from a forest, or you're investing in property on the beach, there was like the ecosystem that I was so used to, I couldn't get funds. And I remember talking to my wife and said, should we move back up north? Um, and I went around trying to raise funds, and the only place I could raise funds was in Austin, Texas, and in Houston. But both of them wanted us to move from where we were at on the beach to Houston or to Austin. And my wife said, no, we're not going to do that. And so trying to raise funds in an area of the South that couldn't even really understand what we were doing, I found that to be very, very difficult. Fortunate for me, and I really have been blessed by this, is that the chairman, who he and I were on the board at Louisiana Tech University on the foundation board, and I met with him for coffee. Most expensive cup of coffee he's ever paid for, or he ever paid for, I should say. And we started talking about this. I say, hey, can you introduce me to some people maybe that and he's out of the oil and gas industry. I said that you talk to that invested in your company that might be willing to invest in CyberReef. And he said, well, not really, but I got money on the sideline I'm not doing anything with. What if I invest in your company? And that was over a cup of coffee at Starbucks in Ruston, Louisiana. And then once he got in and we started seeing some progress, he said, would you consider, if others are willing to invest, to move your company to Shreveport, Louisiana? And I thought about it. I talked to Carolyn, my wife, about it, and she was like, yeah, when can we leave? My daughter was in school in Ruston, Louisiana. My wife was from Louisiana. She knew this area. Her mom was up here. And like I said, never in my life, you have to remember, I've been in Chicago, I've been in Minneapolis, I've been in sort of the North Carolina, all these technology centers, and not once, never in my life would I ever believe that I would be in Shreveport, Louisiana. But sometimes, you have to be flexible,
I
even
can
though
relate
that
to that. I'll
wasn't in
tell
my
you that.
it wasn't in my plan. But right now, being here has been a godsend for me, my wife, the company, the people that we've hired. Because when you start a business, it's not only you have the lives of your employees. Um, and when you're making decisions, you have to think about them. This is their livelihood. And these employees, they're not volunteers, but they're pretty close because their hearts are in what they're doing. They believe in what they're doing. And so you have to keep that, and you need to think about that. You need to think about it all the time because, we're a small company. Losing one person really hurts the whole company. So recruiting, retention, all the things are important, and you need to keep people excited about the work because there's going to be ups and downs. Very few technology things that you're working on actually work the first time. Probably 1% works and you got 99% to go, but that 1% gives you hope. And so with that hope, now you build out the rest of it. So it really was a blessing for me, my family, and all the employees that I went to Starbucks that day and had that meeting. So we feel blessed to be here and feel blessed to have that
Well,
support.
it doesn't sound difficult or complicated, okay? But you had already been going through a number of situations in which you approach people with money to do this. This is the one that worked. Am I correct?
It was, but I wasn't asking him for money. I was
Right.
asking him for an introduction. And so I was surprised when he said, well, I got money on the sideline. Whatever you put in, I'll match it. You put more money in, I'll match it. And we did that for a couple of years. That we went in together, we matched, and also I was fortunate, and that my wife and I had the money to do it. And not everyone can go the route that I went.
Right.
They just don't have the money, and I understand that. I was just fortunate to have that, but I didn't have enough that I could fund this company like forever. I really needed help, and I needed other investors. And so all I can say is, next, for businesses, you should try Starbucks. If you need to walk around and see who's in there and say, hey, can you help me? No,
I
it
am a
really,
big believer that when you're in business, the best thing you can do is talk to other business people
I
because you
agree.
never really know when the opportunity or lightning will strike, right? It doesn't happen if you isolate yourself, you live in an island, and nobody's there to challenge what you're thinking or, expand your vision. So, I'm with you 100% there. All right, well, let's look at the future. What does it look like for you in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, that's a good one because 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be retired again. So, but for the business, um, we have there's one super big deal. And also, I was in Dallas yesterday, and another big deal. For our company, we want to get to a place where we can provide a reasonable or high return for our investors and our employees. We think we could be there in a year or two. Um, I didn't build this business a lifestyle business, which is, I'm gonna keep it forever and I just live off the cash flows from it. This business was built to be sold. And so I think we'll get there. Right now, it's not a good time because the markets are really down. But on and it's really about timing. We need for the cycle to be up. We need our revenues. We probably need to double or triple our revenues, which we believe that we can do. We have worked like heck to line up these contracts that we have that will allow us to get there, even as early as next year. But it's still consistent with the strategy. Everything, remember I talked about the strategy and the tactical plans, all that stuff is still going on. And me coming back and me focus on sales, I think is helping out the company a lot. And I think because I grew up in this industry, I'm well connected, and I believe right now, I don't think there's any major product development. There's still more channels we want to recruit, but we have a great set of channels. Having all three carriers, really four if they include US Cellular, all of the major carriers in the US knowing about and selling CyberReef is a big deal. Now what we need to do is get them to sell more, and then the other channel partners to sell more. So for me, I'm thinking 2 to 3 years, 3 at the latest, we'll probably exit and sell to a larger company. It could be one of our partners, and it could be one of the carriers. So we'll just stay focused. I can't control that, but what I can control is when I get up in the morning, is go out and figure out what I can sell. That's it, and just focus on that, and then everything else will take care of itself. Oh, your mic's off. Can't hear you.
I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, or had the saying, nothing ever happens unless there is a sale. And sale truly is the core of everything we do. Nothing got done, no big development, no big discovery started without somebody selling, even if it was an idea. So kudos for that. And I love the clarity you have on these. And so as you're thinking of the future of the business, right? And going to that end where you expect to, you know, pass it on to somebody else. Then the question is always about the team and the people that depend on this business, right? What's the leadership like? What has been your approach to keeping those employees and making it worthwhile for them to stay with you?
Very good question. Every employee in our company owns a piece of the company. I wanted that from the get-go. It's a requirement. It's not something that was negotiable, and that's the reason you have to have a good board, because I have been part of my last company was owned by private equity. They only believed that key employees could get equity, they would get equity in the company. So when we sold, not all employees got an opportunity to enjoy and to be blessed by that transaction. So when I started the company from the get-go, I wanted every employee that works at CyberReef to own a piece of it. And so when we sell, we'll all be excited about it. And if the transaction is at the levels that we think that we can get for the company later, 2, 3 years down the road, all of them would be happy for sticking in there with us through the good and the bad. So we use staff for retention. The other thing is that we're a small team. The management team needs to be approachable. The management team is similar to me. I hire people. Well, let me say this. I'm crazy, but they're smart. So I hire smart people because I'm a little bit crazy, and they're extremely good at what they do. They're experts in what they do. I'm not trying to like be the CFO. I let her do her job, and I am totally confident that she's going to do a great job. My CTO, Chief Technical Officer, he and I have worked. This is the third time we've worked together. He moved up from Austin to run CyberReef, to run the tech organization. He's very competent. Now, do we get into disagreements? Yes, we do. Do I get into disagreements with my CFO? Yes, we do. We have these disagreements. But as a team, we're aligned on the direction of this business. We get up every morning, and all we think about is how we build on what we've created. And this is a baby. It was a baby, was crawling, and it was I don't know, then it was a teenager. Now we're moving this bad boy into adulthood. Needs a little bit more guidance from the elders, and so the elders are doing that for the business. So I have a team that I love, my management team, and I love every employee. They're family. They're not employees. They're family members.
It's great. I love it's very inspiring, Hilton. It's not always that you find that people have, again, this level of clarity on what they want out of a business, let alone how is it going to move through all these stages. So we have certainly covered a lot of ground on this conversation. And for those who are watching, I highly encourage you to save these and come back a few times for an additional watch. There's a lot of great nuggets here and there. And so as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions. Quick, top of head answers for each. You ready?
Ready?
What is the key to success for you?
Energy. Stay focused and share that energy with everyone around you.
What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
It's going to get tough. It's not that easy, but just stick with it. Do not give up.
What is one book that you're reading now or that you will highly recommend to somebody that is running and operating a business?
It's an old book, but Leadership is an Art by Max Dupree. And I did my thesis when I graduated from the MBA school on that. And I'll go back and read it because there's nuggets throughout it that help me stay focused on leadership being very critical to the business.
It's outstanding. Not everybody does the same. And there are books that you definitely need to read because you read these books and they speak to you when you are at any given point, but you grow, you change, you learn new things, and then some other things start speaking to you. So, yes, absolutely. Go read back whatever really moved you back then, right?
Right.
Um, if you have to choose one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what will that be?
Although I'm running sales, I would like to improve sales even more. And I think for me, I would love to get a good sales leader in because being a CEO and then trying to do sales, work with the investors, work with my finance, with my CFO, I can't stay focused on sales. But that's the one place that if I could hire someone to take that leadership of that group, I think it'd be more productive.
Very good. So, before we get into the final question of the day, how can others learn more about you and your company? How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, let's go to our website, cyberreef.com, and take a look at what we do. And if you are worried about security in your business and for your mobile devices, tablets, or if you're doing oil and gas and you've got wellheads out there that are on a public network, we can secure that for you.
All right. So, final question of the day. What is most inspiring for you today?
What is most inspiring? That's a good question. Um, for me, it's really soft. I really love the way my team. We had a difficult year last year, and that team, my team, stuck in there through that difficult period. I was uncertain who would stay, who would go, but they knew that we are going to pull our way out. We're going to pull ourselves out of it, and we are. I mean, we're right at this point. This year will be by fourth quarter profitable, self-sufficient. But when you go through a downturn, which is what we did last year, and watching ourselves pull ourselves out of it, now we're excited, right? But when we went into it, coach, it was rough. And I worried about that. But like I said, family, these guys are family. Not once did they complain. It was like, okay, how can we just, let's get the shovel. Let's start digging. Let's figure this out. Let's get this thing built so that we can pull ourselves. out of this hole that we're in. And I shouldn't use a shovel, but I keep thinking about digging a ditch. I always have this. I tell people, when you have a strategy, you can talk about it, but once you have decided that this is where you're going to go, you say there's no more discussion. Everyone get a shovel, and if we're digging a ditch, start digging. And that's what the team did. They got their shovels and they started digging. They didn't complain. It was hard. It was hot, but they knew that we were doing the right things. They knew the direction that we were moving in, and all of them just worked like heck to make it happen. I love them. I love that team, my team.
What is that saying? Many hands make long work easy.
You're exactly right.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Hilton, and sharing all this with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing. You never know who you might be able to inspire by listening and sharing this with them. Make it a great day. Until next time.